Well, it's Saturday, and you all know what that means. As you know, AEW has Grand Slam Australia. As you know, they're making their debut in Australia. Really good, interesting events that took place. As you probably can guess, we had Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay teaming up for the first time, taking on Konosuke Takeshita and Australia's very own Kyle Fletcher. We do have, of course, the TBS title, the Continental Championship, and the AEW Women's Championship, and the TBS title online. So it's going to be one hell of an event. And then, of course, we move on with NXT Vengeance Days. We got the NXT Championship defended in a three-way match, but as Obafemi called it, a handicap match. We do have, of course, the NXT Women's North American title, the tag team titles, and of course, the NXT Women's title are all on the line. But however, very interesting developments took place on two occasions during this event. And then, of course, we cap up our episode with some news updates to give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events and promotions are thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everybody, welcome to the Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling views from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-timing news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions have been said. I believe it's time to go down under with, of course, AEW Grand Slam Australia. Okay, AEW Grand Slam Australia in Brisbane. Well, you can guess a lot of things took place during this entire time. So let's begin with our first match. We have, of course, representing the Don Callis family, Konosuke Takeshita, and of course, Australia's very own Kyle Fletcher taking on Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega. Now, as you all know, Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay, nobody in their right minds would have imagined those two would team up. But they do have a common enemy, and that enemy is none other than that snake of the grass, Don Callis. As you know, Don Callis will do whatever it takes to destroy Kenny and Will Ospreay. So, of course, Ospreay and Kenny realize individually they cannot defeat them alone, but together they can. But I have to say, we ask ourselves, can they coexist? Because we know that they are different people in their own different ways. But I have to say, this was a brutal match. But of course, that snake, Don Callis, was intending to get involved. But unfortunately, this match ended with a very combination, a hidden blade, and a one-wing angel on Konosuke Takeshita. And of course, Kenny Omega picked up the pinfall. 1, 2, 3. It was over, and of course, I should know Don Callis should be pissing his pants off, going temperature, crying to mommy, telling him that he needs to change his diapers, crying over the loss. Now, our next match, the TBS Championship. Harley Cameron makes her first championship attempt, and of course, she faces the CEO, Mercedes Moné. But what you guys may have noticed, someone was present watching this match, and you guys may know her, Momo Watanabe of Stardom, also a member of the faction Hate. Now, you probably guess yourselves, what the hell is Momo doing there? Easy, guys, come on. You don't think because she won the International Women's Cup, she can have an opportunity for a title? And remember, she has faced Mercedes Moné before, but that was for the New Japan Strong Women's title. I don't know if she's after that or she wants to take all championships in one swoop. That's a good question that we don't know, but sooner or later we probably will figure that one out. But however, the match itself, I have to say, Harley Cameron, I mean, she has come a long way. We have seen her how much she grown, and of course, she's a fellow Australian from there. I mean, I think it's fair because you wouldn't expect her to try to throw in what she's gonna do, but she was amazing, and not to mention she brought in Minnie Monet, the puppet of Mercedes Monet. But I have to say, Carly Cameron really, really impressed me. But unfortunately, she did not walk away with the win. It was Mercedes with the moneymaker, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, she retained the TBS belt. But however, you know who's in her sights, and that is of course Momo. Sooner or later, they will have their next confrontation. Momo may not have gone out of the win from the last time, but maybe this time it will be different. So we'll see how that rolls up. Now, of course, Kenny and Will Ospreay were celebrating their win. I mean, like I said, and Will Ospreay said himself, no one imagined that those two would ever team up. So Kenny Omega had this in mind. He's been hearing what Don Callis was saying about Takeshita and all this. So he's going to make a play for the International Championship in Revolution. And of course, Will Ospreay's okay with the idea because he has one thing in mind, and that is to get his hands on the man who he thought was his friend and a backstabber, Kyle Fletcher, but he wants him in a steel cage at Revolution. So we will see what their opponents have to say. And of course, Don Callis, he'll go out, talk smack, say all this and that. But we'll see how that rolls up for him. Now, our next match is the Brisbane Street Fight. The Rated R superstar Cope and the Switchblade JY takes on the Death Riders, Claudia Castagnoli and John Moxley. Now, of course, this was a brutal match. I mean, a lot of plunder was being used. I mean, you can think of tables, chairs, whatever. But of course, the one thing that was factor is anything could happen. We did see Marina Shafir get involved, so is that Weasel, Wheeler Yuta, that sort of thing plays out too. I mean, it was bound to happen, but unfortunately, John Moxley put Copeland in a bulldog choke, but Cope did not tap out one way or the other. He just passed out. Ref called it and it was over. But of course, Moxley thinks he's not walking out as the champion. He's making sure that he gets the message. But Copeland, I can guess he's a stubborn SOB. So we'll see what happens when we get there. Now, our next match is the AEW Continental Championship match. Konosuke Takeshita will defend his championship against Buddy Matthews, who's also another Australian who Australians would definitely be cheering. And I have to say, it was a pretty good match. I mean, it was exactly what you would have hoped for. I mean, Buddy Matthews, I have to say, we haven't seen him go up to another level that he should be because he can surprise us. But unfortunately, we were noticing he might have injured himself. I mean, he's been holding on to his ankle. We don't know if he sprained it or fractured. But this match ended with, of course, when Okada applied a low blow, the referee didn't see, and then he applied the Rainmaker, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, he retained the belt. But we'll see what the results are with Buddy Matthews. Hopefully, nothing too serious on his ankle. Hopefully, he's okay. If they tell him that he needs to take some time off, then we'll see. Now for our main event, we have, of course, the AEW Women's Championship. Mariah May defends her belt against someone who she defeated, Timeless Toni Storm, and do not forget, she's also another Australian who is a hometown girl, you would say. I don't know if she's from Brisbane, but anyway, you know what I mean. So you would think that Mariah May, she has been claiming that she would defeat her like she did last time, but the real question is, how much has Toni Storm has changed since then? Of course, Toni Storm will try to throw everything at her, so would, of course, Mariah May. But however, the one thing that was interested, it ended with Inside Cradle, and Toni Storm has regained the AEW Women's Championship. So we will see what happens next. So I'm sure Mariah May is going to be throwing a temper tantrum, but only time will tell. But for now, we'll end things here with AEW Grand Slam Australia. Let's move on with NXT Vengeance Day. Okay, NXT Vengeance Day. We open up with the NXT Women's North American Championship. Stephanie Vakir gets her hands on Fallon Henley, but now X Factor, you probably would guess. Of course, Fallon Henley, as a member of the Fatal Influence, would do whatever it takes to ensure she does not lose this belt. Now, of course, Stephanie Vakir did mention that neither Jay-Z Jane or Jasmine Nix are going to help. Well, they did try to get in the way as well, but it cost them dearly because nothing worked in their favor until Stephanie Vakir was able to take both of them out, and then she decided to make the blow with the SVP, and then finally a spiral tap, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, brand new NXT Women's North American Champion Stephanie Vakir. Now, our next match, we have Yoshiki Inamura from Pro Wrestling Noah teaming up with Josh Briggs to take on Nathan Frazier and Axiom. Now, since Inamura made his presence known in NXT, he wanted to be in a crazy environment. Now, of course, Briggs, who had trust issues when it came to tag team partners, he never imagined he would team up with someone who brought the best out of him back in Japan. So that's what led them to become a good team. But however, they have to prove themselves that they deserve to be at the top and facing a team that either A, they disagree on each other on certain aspects, and B, well, let's see how selfish they can get and how long they can hold on the belt. But man, this match was incredible. I have to say, I was so impressed. Now, some of you may have thought, okay, Inamura and Briggs were going to walk out as the winners, but nope, it did not go in that direction. It went on to, of course, doing a high low on Inamura, but later it was Axiom who pinned him, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. However, during the respect between both teams, four unidentified men showed up. Amongst them looks more like Dion Lennox and James Cutler. Now we don't know what's the extent of this, of the recent attack. So something is strange happening in NXT. So we'll see what happens. Now we all saw what happened this past Wednesday. Izzy Dame turned on the Don, and now Stack seems like he wants to clean up the mess. So he issued a challenge for this coming Tuesday against Sean Spears. So we'll see how that rolls up. Now our next match is a strap match between Eddie Thorpe versus Trick Williams. Now this is a match where, of course, Eddie Thorpe feels a Trick. You were the one who got all these opportunities, and I get nothing in return. So he wants to prove it's time for you to go, bro. It's time for you just to step down and let me step up. Now, of course, with a strap match, anything could happen. You can use it as a weapon, however you want to do it. And of course, there was a moment where you saw Eddie Thorpe use it for a low blow onto Trick Williams, and just like that, with a knee strike, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, we did see a little video from Ricky Starks, who made his appearance in NXT this past Tuesday. He did stated that this coming Tuesday he will sign a contract. So I think there's going to be a big buzz over that. So we'll see where that goes. Now, our next match, we had Javon Evans versus Ethan Page. Now, of course, this has gone long enough, but however, Ava made it clear to Javon Evans that NXT are not held responsible if something happens to him. So, as you all know, Ethan Page broke his jaw or something, and it leading this. But however, Javon Evans was determined to return a favor, and that's exactly what he did. I mean, he pulled up a hell of a fight, but unfortunately, it was the ego cutter to seal the deal. And once again, we see Javon Evans bleeding out. So we ask ourselves, what's the extent of him being in this situation? Well, we don't know. We just have to wait and see what happens. Now, Sarah conducts an interview with Stephanie Vakir, congratulating her as our brand new NXT Women's North American Champion. Steph said that she is happy to be champion, but her night is not done. She says she's going to pay attention to the main event. So we'll see where that goes. Now, our next match is for the NXT Championship. Austin Theory versus Grayson Waller versus Obafemi. Now, Obafemi, as you know, he doesn't care how this match is going to be. But he views this more as a handicap. Remember, Waller and Theory are part of a tag team known as A Town Down Under. But the real question we ask ourselves is one of them going to screw the other? Well, there was a moment we did see Waller pulled up the ref. Theory had this match won, but it didn't. And then, of course, Waller gave the Waller effect onto Theory, and it fell miserably. And then, of course, we did see Obafemi with the pop-up powerbomb onto Waller, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. And then once again, the lights turned off, and then we saw the four guys who attacked Fraxium, Inamura, and Briggs. And now this time, they're sending a message towards the current NXT champion, Obafemi. So it became a 4-on-1 scenario. We don't know what's the situation on here. But of course, however, Sarah, our interviewer, talked to Ava and explained what the hell is going on. Ava doesn't know what's going on, but she can see the writing that this is about making a statement. But of course, we did see Ariana Grace made her return to NXT. As you know, she's been serving as the liaison between NXT and TNA, and then all of a sudden she introduced Santino Marella to Ava. So of course, Ava, you know, is aware who he is, that he's the director of authority in TNA. So Ava decided, you know, they should talk some business because apparently there's some ideas between both promotions. So we'll see what that it is, and I'm sure we'll hear more of it on Tuesday or so. Now, our main event, the NXT Women's Championship in a fatal four-way. Roxanne Perez, Cora Jade, Bayley, and of course our current champion, Julia. Now, of course, you would think in some capacity that Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez are friends in this matter. Now, there are no friends in this one. It's only about who gets to walk out as the champion. And I think that's one of the things that is a key factor. And of course, you're going to see them that they're going to bicker amongst each other. But towards the end, it was Julia who walked away with the win when she applied a Northern Light Bomb onto Roxanne Perez. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, Julia retained the belt. But during the post-match, her dearest friend, Stephanie Vakir, who, as you all know, the new NXT Women's North American Champion, stood side by side with Julia. As you know, now the future of the women's division NXT is in good hands, but it does not end there. We saw the juggernaut, Jordynne Grace, making her NXT appearance now officially, and this time is for good. So it seems the NXT women's division has become hot and ready to go. So we'll see what happens in the aftermath this coming Tuesday. So I think that's pretty much it with all our reviews. Let's move on with some news updates. Okay, welcome to our news update. So let's begin with upcoming events. Now, as you know, on March 1st, we'll have the CML Ladies Ring Lucha Fiesta taking number 3 taking place on the 1st in Shinkiba. They have some matches that have been announced. Now, those who know this or not, especially if any of my subscribers who are big Unagi Sayaka fans, I may do this another Unagi Sayaka watch. It's been now told that the CML women's, the Japanese women's title will be defended. Unagi, who is the current champion, will defend her belt against Yuvia. And then, of course, we have a tag team match. We have Coco teaming up with Yuko Sakurai from Colors, taking on the de facto leader of Colors, Saki, and of course, Yuri. That's going to be one heck of a match. And then finally, we have like a Day of the Dead's type of match. Yuki Mashiro versus Tehamna versus Makoto. But however, they will have a special guest referee, and that is, of course, that ref, Hikari Shimizu. Now, Sukeban, as you know, they haven't done an event for quite a while, so they just announced that they'll be making their debut in Berlin, Germany on the 6th of March. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Now, speaking of Germany, as you know, what wrestling promotion WXW will be doing, they will hold their 3-day event, 16 karat gold. However, on the 9th of March, they announced that pink the pink striker Miyu Yamashita will be there. So she's not involved in the tournament. She'll be involved in a non-tournament match. So it's great to hear. Now, as you know, Canadian promotion Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling will have their Mayhem event between the 14th and the 15th of March, and they just announced Kylie Smiley will be making her appearance. So we'll see what happens more when it comes to this promotion. Now let's move on with some news updates. Sad news in the world of pro wrestling. The Gran Ramada has passed away. Christopher Daniels, who knew him, and he was the one who helped him to get a tour with Michinoku Pro Wrestling all those years ago. He gave nothing but great regards towards him and all that. So rest in peace, Gran Ramada. Uh, those who know this tag team known as the Texas Outlaws was a name that was passed on by Dustin Rhodes to his nephews, Wayne and Riot. They made their in-ring debut in Ring of Honor and during the tapings. If you guys know this, yes, he is related. They are related to Cody. So that's pretty much what we do. So I can't wait to see what they're going to bring to the table. Now, O'Shea Jackson Jr., many of you may know him as the son of rapper Ice Cube. Well, he had something to say about Megan Bayne, and this is what he said on his X account. Megan Bayne looks like a God of War boss. You know, she does look like it, but I kind of wonder what Megan Bayne would think of it. I mean, I'm sure she will appreciate the compliment. So, yeah, she looks like a, a boss from the War of God of War games, but yeah. Now, moving on. Homicide has just announced, this was reported by Fightful Select. Homicide has just revealed that 2025 will be his final year as an active performer. Now, he's not saying he's retiring from pro wrestling in general. He's retiring from being in the ring. So, I mean, we don't know exactly what's the reason. I'll look more into that as soon as possible. Now, many of you may remember him. He's very controversial. Austin Aries, there's been discussion about him having a conversation with TNA about his potential return. Now, I know some of you don't like him because of the things he said, he's done. Many of you may remember him. He was the one who created Option C in TNA. Those who don't remember that or don't know what that is, as you all know, there's the X Division Championship. Austin Aries created this idea that if you cash in your belt, the X Division Championship, you will get a guaranteed shot of the TNA World Championship. So he's done that many times before. He was the one who created Option C. So we'll see what happens. I'm not sure if he'll. I know he's been difficult to work with, but we'll see what happens. Road Dogg Brian James just was announced that he is now the new co-writer for the SmackDown brand. He'll be joining John Sequata and creative direction. Now, Apparently, speaking of TNA, Donovan Dijak has been recently been talking about interest in joining TNA, and let me pull up what he had to say real quick. So he said, "I will love the opportunity to work for TNA. If they are interested in the opportunity to work with me, I think they are doing great things. I have an impression. I have expressed interest to them recently. Once again, it's just timing." And this was reported by Russell Purist. So we'll see what TNA would say, and I'm sure TNA would like to have him. Now, many of you know this recently. Maya Yuhiki, who's a Yoshi wrestler, who was one of the top champions in Ice Ribbon, currently freelancing. As you know, she celebrated her 10th anniversary. Tsukasa Fujimoto had this to say to her, who also still currently works with Ice Ribbon. "Congratulations on your 10th anniversary. Someone asked me personally around last summer to participate if I return. I'm so sorry I couldn't make the match. I've been rooting for Yuhiki for the past 10 years and for her future endeavors." Yeah, it would have been great to see her involved. I haven't seen it yet. I am able to watch it, so we'll see. And then, of course, there was talks about the event. Many of you guys know this, that she injured herself recently before they weren't sure she'll be able to wrestle, and this is what they had to say. Maya Yuhiki has finished her 10th anniversary event. Next, she wants to do a comeback event. Her arm injury is still not fully recovered, and she's fighting despite doctor's orders, but she didn't want to miss this opportunity, and there's no damage to her arm today. If all goes well, she may return in June. It's great that she is okay. I'm sure many people were worried about her in this situation, but let's just hope and pray nothing goes wrong. I will review that event soon enough. It's part of my list as well. So we'll see. But for now, let's call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode coming up. Well, I haven't decided yet what I'm going to do. I know we have some Stardom events, Mighty Gold, Sendai Girls, Tokyo Pro Wrestling. I may do more of the Yoshi wrestling scene. We'll just wait and see because right now there's a lot to go for. I'm behind on Noah and All Japan. So we'll see where that leads us from there. But for now, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang.